Yo, 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 welcome to another episode of the Casual Wrestler Podcast. I am your host, the Prince of Positivity, the casual one, Casual Steve. We got a really special one today for you guys. Join with me also, of course, my co-host is today, Mr. Mikey Suits. How we doing, sir?
Steven. Steven. You know the deal. My name is Michael Corelli, a.k.a. Coach C, a.k.a. Stephen A. Slams, a.k.a. Big C. Casual wrestling fans, celebrate me.
Are they celebrating you?
I'm just trying it out, Steve. I'm trying it out.
I feel you, bro. I feel like I like the acknowledge me way better than the celebrate me, but that's on you, bro. That's your intro. That's how you roll, bro.
I may or may not have gotten a letter about that from somebody.
Probably, bro. Probably. Of course, we got our ring general with us, Mr. Josh B. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, guys?
I know he's super pissed off. We are cutting into his gym time right now. Supposed to be getting swole right now, but this is a special one, like I told you guys.
He looks good to me, though.
Oh, that. Did you hear that voice? Did you hear that voice? Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Brian H. Waters. You're blessing us on this podcast right now, bro. For anybody who does not know who Mr. Brian H. Waters is, he is the creator of the Wrestling Realm podcast. We'll definitely plug that in our in the show notes after the show's over with. But go check this man out. This is an amazing podcast. If you like wrestling in any way, shape, or form, this is a podcast obviously for you. So again, sir, thank you for blessing our podcast. We got a fun draft for you today.
I'm excited. Thanks for having me. This is going to be fun.
Absolutely. All right. Our draft for today, ladies and gentlemen, is greatest wrestler returns. We all have some of our favorite returns, and we're going to talk about some of the top returns in wrestling and professional wrestling today. Again, another fun one, guys. Another fun one. You know how we do it. We're going to run through our snake draft, but since we have Mr. Waters on with us today, Josh, can you please break down how we run our snake draft, sir?
Yeah, so our snake draft's done like any fantasy football or fantasy baseball draft. Somebody will kick it off in the first round. Whoever takes that first pick in the first round will get the last pick in the second round. Whoever gets the last pick in the first round gets the first pick in the second round. So it's just going to snake through like you would any fantasy football, fantasy baseball draft.
All right, guys. The gloves are off. Ding, ding. Let's get to it. Mr. Waters, you're gracing our presence right now with you on this pod, sir. So you get the honor of the first pick in this draft.
Wow. Greatest wrestler returns. This is fun, but one that jumps out to me is The Rock returning in 2011 on Monday Night Raw.
2011 Rock return on Raw. Definitely a hard return, bro. They got a massive pop. Was that where was that right around?
It's set up WrestleMania 27. For me, I remember that night watching Raw and I was ready to go to sleep. And you know how this is before Raw was 3 hours, by the way. But I'm starting like, all right, let me see who's gonna be the special host for WrestleMania, and then I'm going to bed. Man, when the music hit and it was The Rock, I was like, are you serious? I lit up. Next thing you know, I'm woke now, and I had another show at the time, and I was like recorded some content because I was that excited. So that is my first round pick.
That's an awesome pick.
Was that not the Kim Kardashian red herring? They threw the Kim Kardashian red herring out. I think they threw a couple things out there that were like, it's going to be Kim Kardashian. It's going to be...
trying to bait us? Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
They threw us off the scent. And then it was like, one. That's definitely top 5.
That was definitely one that, again, they were trying to get us to. They were starting to bring in more celebrities around that time. So again, the vibe was another celebrity is going to be here. But when you found out it was the Rock celebrity, now we on a whole nother stratosphere.
Mm-hmm.
All right, pick number 2, Josh, our ring general. Pick number 2. Where we going, sir?
All right, for my first pick, I'm going to have to go with Royal Rumble 2008, and that's going to be the return of Mr. John Cena. All right, this was the big return after the pec injury. We thought he was going to be out from anywhere from about half a year to like 10 months, and the guy came back in whatever it was, 2-3 months. The pop was huge, despite the fact that this was at the time where Cena was starting to get booed and the John Cena sucks chance, but it did not matter to the fans of Madison Square Garden at the time. The place erupted. So that's where I'm going with for my first pick, the John Cena 2008 Royal Rumble return.
I didn't want to say it, Josh. I didn't want to say it, but you're right. It's a good pick, bro. It's a good pick. Even though I was definitely at that point, I was kind of like, kind of tired of John Cena. But seeing him then, it was like, all right, I can buy this.
It's just of those videos you'll go and you'll watch every couple of months just to hear the pop. And then just to see his sly smile too. It was a great moment.
That actually just came up on my TV. I just got like a random YouTube playlist of wrestling on. And that moment just came up.
Right, it's confirmed right there. Confirmed.
I'm so mad right now. I'm seething right now because it's definitely to me it's my, because you have to remember another one they threw us off on. He's going to be out 2 years or something like that. He's never coming back ever. And again, it just perfectly shot. Triple H in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
The Garden means something. It still meant something back then, especially. It meant something. I'm blown off. I thought no one was going to pick that. That's my favorite. But like a professional, I'm going to gather up and I'm going to go next.
You're going to adjust? You're going to adjust?
I have to.
You don't have a choice, bro. I got you going last, Mikey.
Okay.
Purposely. Okay. Because I know how you roll, bro.
Okay.
I know how you roll. Because I'm going to stay in the Garden. I don't have a choice but to stay in the Garden. And I'm going to go with one of the GOATs. He tore his quad.
Knew it.
My man came back in the jean jacket and jean pants and erupted the Garden. Erupted the Garden. Massively erupted the Garden. Triple H returning to Raw, Madison Square Garden, 2002. I remember watching that Raw in my mom's room because the TV went out in the front room. So I went into my mom's room to go watch it in there. I think I probably got yelled at the entire time because I couldn't stop screaming because this guy, my guy finally came back. And you know how I feel about him, Josh. I said it, my guy. And you're welcome because he is helping the WWE right now turn the corner. You're welcome.
Man, this is a different Triple H than the one we argued about like 15 years ago, buddy. Different.
I'll say it took him 20. It took him 23 years to do it. Thanks, guy.
You want people to love him or you hate him.
Oh no, Brian, and I'll be honest with you. I think this was Apex Triple H because you remember he had the run, but when he came in, he was the biggest. Like he was the star of the company at this point. This is our guy now.
Oh,
he's going to win the Rumble. Well, I think when he came back from this injury, he was the guy. He was the guy at this point. And like, this is his star-making performance. I'm walking in, he's the most important guy. And I don't think until this point, he was the most important guy. And I think that this was his, and maybe that's a controversial opinion, but I think when he walked out, the music, everything, this was his showcase. In case you forgot, I'm the guy.
Yeah, it was really kind of a transition time of the company, though, is the thing, right? Because that's when like Austin's kind of coming and going, but he's going to be out by the following year. This is when Rock's starting to make his way to Hollywood. I think this is in their scrambling. We got to make a new top baby face type of person. And I think the injury is what kind of put him in that spot of, okay, this is the new face. Because everybody, anytime you make a return, you're getting a pop. Whether you're face, heel, doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. I think that at that time, he could have been, but the NWO coming in, that kind of messed things up because you had now Hogan's back. And no matter what people think, at that time, Hogan in WWE is different than Hogan in WCW. So as much as people, as much as the NWO was the NWO, it's the reason why Hogan got cheered in Toronto and so forth. That's why Triple H, allegedly made the call to drop the title to Hogan. I think he could have been a top baby face if the NWO didn't come back, if The Rock would have been gone. But I also think that if Austin could have been the heel that he was, Austin and Triple H, Austin as the top heel and Triple H as the top babyface would have been interesting to see. Like if we could have seen the 2-man power trip break up and go to WrestleMania, that would have been interesting to see.
I couldn't agree more on that. Who didn't like that run? I was a huge fan of that run. Just Stone Cold and Triple H running through the WWE.
I didn't know. I'm gonna tell you why. Because to me, there was like Undertaker and Kane wasn't enough. They were a little bland, If you would have had, if The Rock wouldn't have went to Hollywood, a la suspension, it would have been fun because it would have been fun watching him chase them. It kind of would have been like Dusty chasing what they say. I wasn't old enough, but Dusty and the Horsemen, right? So it would have been fun watching it like that. But you didn't have a strong enough babyface. Kurt Angle wasn't ready to be the top babyface. Mm-hmm. If 2001 Kurt Angle could have went like late 2001 Kurt Angle against that Triple H and Austin, that would have been fun. Later, like Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit, they wasn't ready yet to be the top baby faces. But I think, and Undertaker, it's like he's that baby face that's hard to get sympathy because he's 7 feet tall.
True.
Yeah, that's a good call, Brian. I kind of agree. Just for the simple fact that how do you book yourself out of that 2-man power trip without having that baby face that's gonna? Because listen, any heel run, it's all about the payoff of who beats them. Mm-hmm. So I completely agree. Like at that point, who's going to beat them? Like I think we know that within a year we get the new guys of Guerrero and Benoit coming up. But are those going to be the guys that break up that trip? I mean, I guess to your point, like the only thing you're kind of hoping is you get a breakup and one of them turns back face. But that's a great call. I didn't even think of that.
Transitions are weird in wrestling. Like, I mean, that's a draft right there. Transitions are so weird because in a year we're having a different conversation because it's Brock Lesnar.
Right.
That's the crazy part, A year later, it's Brock Lesnar. He's the perfect person to break that up.
But did they know that at that time?
That's another thing. Well, he was in OVW,
right? Oh, you forget you get Cena too. But that's another year after that.
About 2 years, 2.5 years removed from main event Cena. So yeah, it's definitely interesting.
Yeah, it gets thick right there. It gets a little thick. Speaking of thick, Mikey C, where we going, bro?
I'm in the thick of it. I'm actually going to, and I get 2, correct?
Yes, sir. You get 2.
I think both of these are going to be qualified as age like milk. I'm going to call both these returns age like milk. I know where I'm going. Just stop.
So, okay.
I'm going with the fourth round. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I was in the building.
I love this already.
The United Center was sold out on a rumor, guys. I was in the house for it. Maybe this is bias, But to me, he chanted CM Punk's name for 7 years. And this man returned. And that return, that moment, in airports where airplanes have taken off. I've heard fireworks. I've heard pyro. Nothing. When that cult of personality hit, I could not hear sound. It was so loud for an extended period of like 5 seconds. I didn't hear the person standing next to me. And that was a moment. Aged well, aged like milk. The moment. Gotta give it to it. CM Punk coming back from 7 years to AEW. And I'm still on team work that this isn't done. Yeah. Well, maybe that's it's not a work. I think we see him again in the year. There's just too much money out there, but that's beside the point. I'm talking about the return. I was there. I've been in a couple of these. It was insane.
Can anybody argue with that?
Age like milk. Age like milk is a great. It's a great.
It is, right? That's.
I mean, it killed my moment.
If you asked me this like 3 months ago, yeah, I completely agree. It was such a good return, and it being Chicago, his hometown, and clearly, if there's ever a guy associated with a town, is it bigger than Punk with Chicago? But yeah, I agree. I mean, it was huge. I mean, hear stories. I don't know if this helps your cause, Mikey, or ruins your cause, but talking to people at the event that as they heard his music, they didn't even stay in the stands. They ran to the merch stand because they wanted to get whatever T-shirt was what they knew was going to sell out. So I don't know if that helps it or hurts it, but I mean, it was just insane. I completely agree.
Man, I will say this about it. I've watched it like a few times again on my DVR. And I mean, they almost had me buy a Punk shirt. Like I got caught up in it. Like, and I never said I was like a top CM Punk fan. I know what, he means to wrestling. But that was a moment. That's why it's great to hear your perspective, you being there.
And I may have swindled my way to the front of the line to get a shirt. I offered to buy 2 other guys a shirt to get one of those that said I was there. And here's the best part. The guy said, no, just cut the line. You're obviously a big fan. So I kind of just got my shirts and I got out of there. So yeah,
man.
Pays to be nice sometimes.
It's a huge win for everybody right there.
But I said both of them have aged like milk.
You did. So I'm really interested how you're going to kick off round 2 with your first pick, bro.
Detroit, Steven.
We're
going down 8 Mile to I believe it's the Little Caesars Arena in Detroit. Could anybody confirm or deny that? And Stephanie McMahon was about to receive the Great McMahon Award, and then you heard something you hadn't heard in about 7 or 8 years. Here comes the money. And that place went banana. Shane McMahon, the prodigal son, Simba himself walked on the stage. And that place again. Now, it went, that was insane, that pop.
Simba. My man called him Simba, bro.
And again, people were excited for this. This was a big deal. People fantasy booked this for years. Shane's going to come back and feud with Triple H, and we're going to get a Nitro revival and all this other stuff. And then, again, extended pop, Hogan-esque almost. He got a pop that was like 3 minutes long. And then like a year later, people wanted him to leave and never be seen ever again. It's not greatest runs post return. It is greatest returns. I'm trying to win a pot.
True.
And you mean to tell me that wasn't a moment?
It was a moment. I'm gonna give you that. I'll give you that. I'm not very big on Shane, as you know.
I don't think anybody, Steve. And quite frankly, it's like I am the only man that has Shane McMahon stock still. I bought all of it. It's still sitting in my garage somewhere.
He has about 2% of it. You got the other 98%, bro.
I bought the dip on Shane. And like I said, the moment, and if you remember at the time too, the company was hurting. They had 7 guys on the IR that were top guys.
Mm-hmm.
This was the Cena, Cesaro, Orton was out. I believe Rollins was out. I mean,
WrestleMania 32. It was hurting.
Really hurting. There was some. I remember the rumors were some off the wall stuff they were proposing, and then we got a really bad match with Taker and Shane. But again, I love the return. I watched this 20 minutes ago before we came here because I wanted to remember it. I'm like, was that as good as I thought it was? It was that good.
Mm-hmm.
Controversial picks maybe, but again, it's not about the run. It's about the return. And the return, to me, both of these guys were adulated by people. They were pined for, and it delivered, and I thought those moments delivered. Am I doing a good enough job of selling these two?
I mean, you trying.
Oh, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm going to tell you right now, even though it wasn't my first pick, I stand by my first pick. The only video I've probably rewatched more than the Shane McMahon return, and it wouldn't qualify for this draft, is the AJ Styles Royal Rumble debut. I've gone back and watched that Shane McMahon pop music entrance so many times. Again, it's like every 3 months, I almost got to find it on YouTube and watch it. Mikey, I'm completely with you.
The AJ pop was so special, and it does not qualify because there was 3 pops. And usually they're not that loud, but it was a cascading up. Well, actually, cascading is down, right? But it was a crescendo. It was like, oh. I can remember this because I was in the room with Josh, and we did the same thing. We were jumping up and down like 2 little kids.
I got a story about that one.
No, please. Oh, we love stories here.
You know what makes me mad? That year, WWE decided to give you spoilers on Instagram. And at the time, I was doing some freelance work for Fox Sports out of Hopewell, Virginia. And it was the same night as the NFC Championship game, the one where Cam Newton's Panthers blew out the Cardinals. So I'm getting content posted on Instagram. And next thing you know, I see WWE is like Styles P1. I'm like, are you serious? He's here? So I couldn't get that same emotion because I had just seen it on Instagram. And then I stayed on Instagram, and sure enough, they was showing you who was next. I was like, whose idea in social media was that? That was the stupidest thing.
That's good shit, pal.
You spoil it.
Yeah.
Absolutely spoil it.
Even if you think about it, because people have streaming services, why are you doing it that way? Because everybody's not going to be on the same bandwidth. Everybody, Yeah, but I watch Raw with a friend, and most of the time, their stuff is further than mine, and it's like, oh my, come on now,
Brian. we do the same thing here on the Casual Wrestler. We got a chat, and we all watch all wrestling anytime that we're watching. And it's times where like, oh my God, did you see this? It's like, dude, shut up, bro.
Right.
I'm 30 seconds, literally 32 seconds behind you. Stop.
Mm-hmm.
Oh crap, did you see it?
Well, that's why I like to lead with the "you watching" with a question mark because you got. But I mean, golly, man, AJ Styles, bro.
I'm gonna give you right now. I'll give you your flowers on this Shane O'Mac thing. Yeah, it was big. Yeah, it popped. Okay, it's cool, bro. I'll let you have that one. But I'm gonna tell you something that really popped though.
Okay.
Something that really popped, bro. Really popped. I'm taking you guys to WrestleMania because we've been talking about WrestleMania. So let's talk about WrestleMania right now. Let's talk about WrestleMania. Let's talk about WrestleMania, specifically WrestleMania 33.
I knew it.
Let's talk about the tag team that just literally the day before wrestled the Young Bucks at an ROH pay-per-view in a banger of a match. We're talking about the Hardy Boys coming back at WrestleMania 33. Thank you, New Day, for bringing back the Hardys.
I was in the building.
Oh, come on.
Please, bro. Tell us.
Lost my voice.
Tell us.
Right there, lost my voice. And on the ride to whatever the name of that stadium is, but on the ride there, I get a CBS or Bleacher Report notification. And it said, Jeff Hardy says the Hardys have signed to Ring of Honor for a multi-year deal.
I remember this. I do remember the red herring.
Yep. So by then it's like, all right, you know. And I remember we was all standing there, and that was genius, you know, because when you're in WrestleMania, you hoping, right? You know these companies, they all there, so you're just hoping. And man, when that music hit, the whole place went crazy. And then Matt Hardy's coming out, and then he's like confused. Do he go to Team Extreme or did he go delete? Because people were yelling delete. So it was good stuff.
Awesome.
Well, I was going to say to that point too. I don't think I ever heard about the rumors of them signing a contract to Ring of Honor, but like being in the know on the internet almost worked against you as far as, or worked for the Hardys, because they were sponsoring like a tailgate or something that day. So people were like, there's no way they're coming back. They were running their own party, like WrestleMania tailgate party and everything. So they like completely went out of their way to make people think they weren't coming, which is great, because how many things like the story you just told get ruined nowadays because of internet rumors and everything. And yet they got everybody on that one.
Exactly.
Ring General. Josh, pick number 3, round 2. Where we going, sir?
Well, I'm going to have to go with something, and this is a personal one for me, something I was in the building for, and that was the 2020 Royal Rumble, and that was the return of Edge. Got to experience that one with my son, so it's definitely a special moment for me. I'm also the type of guy that just tries to not pay attention to the internet rumors. And even though things had been swirling about how Edge was going to come back, I refused to believe it. And then I was wrong, because that was a ginormous pop in that stadium.
I believe the quote was, "We're not going to effing see Edge tonight." I can look at that up. And I'm like, you think we'll get Edge tonight? We're not going to effing get Edge tonight. I'm like, all right, well, you know, Josh, you're saying maybe. And shout out to Luca Bellamity, by the way. He'll be the 5th host on the show in like 5 years. What a moment, man. I mean,
it was a great moment, Mikey. It was a great
I cried.
moment.
I'm not gonna lie, I shed man tears. When he walks out and it says, "Everything has come to light," and he's got that look on his face, and he's kind of crying. I was in my buddy Caleb's living room, and I was tearing up a little bit.
You were told you were never going to wrestle again. Like, you were done. Done, bro. Like, this can't handle anything else right now. Your neck is done. And then that happens.
I couldn't even react the way I wanted to, because, you know, it was the same day, unfortunately, Kobe died.
Yep.
So,
oh my God,
I was numb, and I was a huge Edge fan, you know. So, but it was just like, oh yay, Edge is back, because I was just like still numb.
Mom was gone.
See, I think that's why I did cry, because that's how I handle emotion, and I think I was extra emotional that day. Gigantic Kobe guy. The only one in my entire crew that likes Kobe, that Loved Kobe Bryant, my favorite basketball player of all time.
Me too. I think he's the greatest.
Oh man, you can't say
draft.
that when you're from Chicago. This is three dudes from Chicago, bro.
That's a whole draft. That's a whole draft, bro.
And one person did it well, the other person did it a little bit better.
Let's stick to sports entertainment because this might get emotional.
Sports entertainment. What are you talking about, bro? We talking about professional wrestling here. What are you talking about? We are a professional wrestling podcast. Stop it. You take that sports entertainment crap somewhere else.
Entertainment.
B. Waters, let's go, sir. Close us out in round 2, boss.
Returns, man. I'm gonna go old school. I'm gonna take you to the Hoosier Dome, WrestleMania 8, the Ultimate Warrior. Who saw that coming?
Ooh, left field.
I'm a child, and I got excited. You know, he comes out there, it goes crazy, you know, and he saves Hogan. Now, of course, you get out, you hear all the podcasts, what we're supposed to have, and this, that, and I don't care about none of that. I put myself in my 4-year-old mind. 5-year-old mind. Warrior comes out, saves the day. It was awesome.
Who's arguing with this right now? At that age.
Mm-hmm.
So first off, let's talk about how long it took him to get to the damn ring, bro. That run was a track run to get to where he had to get to. First off, when he got there, first off, he was the only one that probably in the locker room that could probably make that run and still have the win capacity to put on a whole match. But when he got to the ring, he exploded on everybody. Like literally, it was amazing to see. It was like just literally a rainbow just running through the ring.
Mm-hmm.
There may have been some gimmicks involved there, Steve. I'm just saying.
Possibly.
Also, wasn't this also the time where this is the third Ultimate Warrior because he was significantly kind of smaller?
Mm-hmm.
Did y'all got that right, Brian, out there that there was like 5 Ultimate Warriors and they all are dead? Like that's unknown.
I would hear stuff like that as a child. Especially before he went to WCW. It was more when he came back in 96.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah. Because at first, remember when the Renegade came out, and I remember my little cousin, she thought like that is Ultimate Warrior, you know, and she was probably like 4. But and then you learn like, okay, that's not the Ultimate Warrior.
It's not the same guy.
Yeah, but when he came to WCW, it's like that's not the same Warrior, this, that, and the other. But yeah, we heard that here.
What a moment.
Heard that with Undertaker too.
Yeah, 3 Undertakers as well.
Mm-hmm.
I was in, well, actually there was 2 Undertakers, but that's beside the point. That's a whole different podcast. I was in my cousin Mark Pamani's basement. He loved the Ultimate Warrior, but he was like a little older than me. He was in the wrestling. You watch that stuff still. But me and my little cousin Dan, we were watching Mania, and all of a sudden you heard dun, 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 dun. And my cousin Mark, who was an Ultimate Warrior junkie, ran down the stairs, and we were running around. What's better than pro wrestling, guys? What's better than pro wrestling?
All right, Brian, kick us off round 3, sir. Where are we going next?
Man, I'm gonna go to Backlash 2000. Stone Cold Steve Austin. You know, he was set up. That counts, right? So return as a referee. And
I will allow it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll allow it.
Because you know everybody knew he was gonna be there. But it was like when, and you know, by him not coming out there early during the match, but at that right moment, that place went ballistic in DC. And so yeah, Stone Cold.
Surprise returns. We said returns. And again, that's a pop that's an underrated Austin pop. Because Austin's got like 10 of the biggest pops ever.
Yeah.
One more. I think the biggest Austin pop ever was I think it's the Foley match, personally. The Foley title win. That pop is ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's a huge pop.
Oh my God. And I just watched that too, like today. I was just watching pops all day today.
Oh, you cheating, bro.
I I may have done a little more research than usual today. Got Brian H. Watt or something.
Come on.
Man.
Look at this.
I'm going against professionals here.
Exactly.
Oh, come on now.
I love that pick. And I like that pick. You kind of stole my thunder because my next pick's going to be a little bit of storyline significance. But I like that one because of the storyline significance, too, of him helping out The Rock. That's a great pick. Great pick.
Thank you.
Well, we know our ring general loves a good story. So, Josh, where are we going, sir, with this story that you are alluding to?
We've had a very, very, if not every pick, WWE, except for one. Mikey had an AEW one, but a very WWE-centric draft so far. But I'm going to bring it to one of my personal favorites, and that is ECW, and that is the return of Raven. If you remember, Tommy Dreamer wrestling for the tag team championships against the WWE contracted Dudley Boyz, only to win the belts thanks to his biggest rival of all time. You want to talk about a master class of storytelling? Just look at Dreamer's facial expressions and the way he acts. Not to mention, nobody was expecting it. This was when people were just loving Raven in WCW, but he was a completely wasted, especially towards the end. I think we had the failed WCW one where he was at like an insane asylum or missing or something, and people were just dying for Raven, and they got him back in ECW. Again, a master class of storytelling. If you guys get a chance, go back and watch that match. But I'm saying Ravens returned to ECW to win the tag team championships with Dreamer.
What do we say, Ring General? If you ain't seen it, Google. Make Google your best friend and go watch this series right now. It's amazing. Again, just like Josh said, just great storytelling. I'm a huge ECW fan, and that's definitely one that's up there in my top 10 of stories in ECW. All right, I'm going to take us to one of my personal favorites for pick number 3. We alluded to this guy because we said this man has at least like 10 of them. So we got to call out at least another one on this pod. We have to. Stone Cold Steve Austin, after his neck surgery, coming back on Raw. Stone Cold coming back, period, after the neck injury. Well, remember, the whole storyline was he got hit by a car, apparently. And we found out later that it was Rikishi that hit him with the car because he did it for The Rock. Got to make sure we add that too. But just Stone Cold coming back, massive pop. I think that was massively underrated how loud that pop was. I think they were in a small arena at the time. I can't remember exactly where it was, but I know that it was a small amount of people that I think that was there at the time. So don't quote me. You'll kill me in the comments for that. But yes, Stone Cold coming back 2000.
That would have been 2000.
That is 2000. I was going to say 1, but I was like, nope, it's not 1. 2000.
I think it was before. I think it was 1.
No Mercy.
No. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because No Mercy 2000 is Austin and Rikishi.
Main event anywhere in America. I think this was a very important return because I think a lot of people, again, there's a weird WWF period at the time. They did not get the F out yet, I don't believe yet. So this was WWF losing a little steam. And him coming back, I remember thinking, okay, like, here we go again.
You needed it.
But just think, though, guys, like a year later, he's gone. Like, he's not around for much. I'm sorry, it was 2 years. He's gone because, and it's just to think about, if we really think about Austin's run, man, I mean, like Roman's run is like it's like has Roman been on top longer than Austin was?
I'm gonna say this. I'll say this, Mikey. I'll say this for everybody in the room and for everybody in the back that's thinking it right now. Stone Cold's run is not as good as it could have been.
Oh, I don't think that's controversial. The guy missed like 2 years in his run, like combined, which is insane because it's probably still the best run ever.
It's definitely the most money making run, because of where the business and everything was. And you know, as a child, I didn't realize how important it was and how people wanted to relate to him. You know, because you would hear people say, "Oh, you hate your jobs and this, that, and the other." Everybody wish they could stun their boss, and then you get in the working world. And we're like, not now. I like the ringer, but if I was, working somewhere else, like when I worked at Best Buy, I wanted to stun my boss, manager. I won't use that word, boss. But so, but for me, like, I always thought that, like, I understand exactly what you're saying as far as like 2000, because it was Rock, Triple H the whole time, and we had a younger Kurt Angle coming up. So Austin did come back at the right time because it's like, okay, who else was Rock going to work with? Yeah, he worked with Chris Benoit. He worked with The Undertaker and Kane and all of that, but you needed Austin to come back. I think if Austin stays a babyface, his run would have, I think he might have, I know he said he felt like he did all he could as a heel face, but because he had been gone for so long, I think he had another 98 or 99 like babyface run in him that would have been incredible. So if he would have just gave Vince McMahon a stunner and kept it moving, because especially when they booked it in Texas.
Right. You're asking for it.
Mm-hmm. They cheer. Of course, we're going to cheer. Booing Stone Cold.
It's probably the biggest blunder that Vince was on fire for like a decade before that, or like seriously, like 5 years.
Yeah.
And it was a blunder. It really was. And I think everybody involved, if they could do that over again, hey, Vince, watch the stunner. And I everything changes. The alliance is different.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything, like,
and it's no competition too. So it's like all that happened at the same time where there was no competition. They had literally put WCW players in the skybox. The C team, honestly, right. Put them in the skybox at the Astrodome. So we going into now, this is the first post WrestleMania season without competition. That's crazy.
It's a very interesting time period, and I don't know if a lot of people look at it very fondly.
A lot of people didn't transition either. Like a lot of the people who were teenagers watching wrestling had stopped around this time. I know I was in ninth grade.
Fell off.
Yeah, and a lot of people fell right here, right around this time. The real ones stayed. That's when you knew who was real wrestling fans.
People that was like cheering for Billy and Chuck.
Well, no, but this actually brings it to my point, though. Like, we needed to come back. We needed him back
in 2000.
We needed him back because, like you said, there was nobody else at that point. And I felt like, again, good pick. All of this to say, I really enjoy the pick. I think it's a great pick.
You needed a starter, bro. You needed a starter. And he was a perfect starter. He was to ignite what needed to happen moving forward at that time. Suits, close us out, brother. Round 3. Where we going?
I got to get back on track here. And I'm going to go. It's funny. I think this is the first night after WrestleMania one we've had. If I'm not mistaken, this may be the first night after WrestleMania one we've had. Now, I had 2 that age like milk. I think this one ages like fine wine. I'm going with Brock Lesnar. Coming back from his UFC run, John Cena in the middle of the ring. That was after Mania in Miami, I believe.
I was there.
He took the big L from the Great One.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the rumors that day were, hey, Brock's coming back. Brock's not coming back. Brock came back. And that pop, now you were in the house. Was it as loud as it seemed on TV, how did that translate live?
It was definitely loud. I think I might have been the only person that wasn't happy at the time. I wasn't really in the Brock. Then I like Cowboy Brock a lot, but
oh my God.
but I just wasn't into it. I was like, oh, whatever. But yeah, everybody was going crazy. This is also like the start of the. This is where the Yes Chance was born in Miami, in the parking lot before WrestleMania Access. That's where it was born, and then it escalated to WrestleMania. But there was rumors. A lot of people thought he would probably come out if Cena beat The Rock, which I didn't see that happening. When The Rock won, I kid you not, it was called Pro Player Stadium at the time. I don't know what's called now, or Hard Rock Stadium. It shook. It felt like the place shook. And this is my first night after WrestleMania, and yeah, that pop was huge for Brock Lesnar.
You sure that wasn't shaking because he wasn't just jumping up and down doing his thing? Because that's a big dude, bro. When he came back, he was jacked, bro.
Well, I'm saying the stadium was shaking the night before.
Oh,
WrestleMania, yeah.
I just think it was important because I think they needed another big name at that point. Because Rock's going away. He didn't even think we'd ever get Rock. I thought, okay. The rematch never entered my mind at the time, and I guess that's a mistake on my part. But like, I thought it was one and done. I think just because of the schedule, and the guy does 900 movies, it's kind of why I don't know if this match with Reigns is a lock. This Brian, you might know something I don't know, but like, would it really shock you if it didn't happen this year? If we didn't get Rock and Roman, would that shock you?
No, it wouldn't shock me at all. I know people are clamoring, like, do we really need it? Because they want to see Roman and Jey Uso. I don't want to see the bloodline break up. But I also don't want. Yeah. If anything, if they're gonna break up, I'd rather see them divided and come back together. Where Jey calls The Rock or whatever. But I don't think it's going to happen. No, I think the match is going to happen, but it wouldn't surprise me if it didn't for that reason. The Rock's schedule.
Well, Brian, this is why you get paid the big bucks, because actually we're going to segue into my next pick, because Jey Uso and The Rock shouldn't dethrone the tribal chief. There's only one man, but wrestling has more than one royal family. And Brian, you're not on the show all the time. I am contractually obligated by Cody Rhodes by the Rose Estate to mention Cody Rhodes in every podcast.
How deep are you in this man's pockets, bro? How deep are you in his pockets? That's all I want to know.
I just want a Nightmare Family Jacksonville Jaguar jacket. That's all I really want. Could you make that happen for me? No, listen though, all BS aside, Cody Rhodes at Mania this year, man.
You took it right away from me. I had that save. I was in the building for that one.
Well,
I was hoping it got past them.
Well, come on. Are you out of your mind? It was never getting past me. And Brian, I know it's a very special moment for you, and you got him in the locker room again. But I got to talk to you off air about that a little bit, because that's my guy. Cody Rhodes.
You would love him. As a human being, you would love him.
I met him, as a fan. I've met him, but Steve and Josh know I followed this guy when he left WWE and did the Bullet Club thing. When he put the cigar out, I'm like, this dude's a star. And to follow the journey, it's the greatest story in pro wrestling right now. Is his journey, and I think the injury helps the story. I think he's going to come back white freaking hot.
Yeah.
And he's got to be the one to beat Rome. Unless they're going to pull Sami Zayn out of the ashes and really go there. But I don't think they should break the bloodline up. I'm with you. But getting back to the return. Again, it didn't need to be a secret, but it kind of was. I mean, if you would have told me, I would have put a heavy money on it. I just thought the moment was just the moment, man.
It was the the worst kept secret, but so I could tell this story on air. So we knew that we would get the first interview with whoever Cody's opponent was. I mean, Seth's opponent was for the Ringer wrestling show. And, you're sitting there thinking, I remember talking to my manager at the time. I was like, well, who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? And I was like, got an idea it's going to be Cody. He was like, so what happened if it's not? I said, man, there's rumblings that it's going to be Shane McMahon, and Shane McMahon would come out, and then like, psych. I said, but I don't know. Like I said, anybody else honestly would be a disappointment. There was some sprinklings of Bray, but I mean, that's another one where I lost my voice, and I vowed never to scream that loud again because I didn't have it for a week. If you listen to like some of the Wrestling Realm episodes or the Mac Mania podcast episodes, right after you can hear me talking like this almost. But it was crazy, and I think I like it being a surprise because when you see the Tron like slowly go American Nightmare, that was a moment right there.
And then he rises up from the Cody Vader. And listen again.
I'm gonna have to send you the video in my phone because I watched the playback and it's cool, but I got the angle because I'm like sitting there and I got the angle where it is now. I'm shaking. We'll see it shake a little bit, but I'm gonna have to send you the video from my phone.
Man, listen,
I'd love that.
Goosebumps.
Well, the other thing too is they do a great job of letting that thing breathe.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people kind of figured it was him, but it seemed like Seth just stood in that ring forever. And you get goosebumps usually after a return, but that's when you started getting goosebumps coming up to whatever that Titantron was going to be. They let that breathe so beautifully that when it popped, it just popped.
You know what? It is a common theme that we're talking about right now, guys. We're talking about builds. We're talking about builds. And stuff that builds usually is good. Usually. Since I have the next pick, I want to talk about builds. Let's take you guys right now to the return of Mr. Bray Wyatt. I personally like how they have done this entire build-up into what we currently have right now and getting this real, raw, gritty Bray Wyatt with these puppets in the background that you have no idea who or what they're going to be. And then to get the little sprinkles of it might be this wrestler or it might be that wrestler or these are just wrestlers from, from his past, so on and so forth. Like, I love the story behind this. I love the build of this. It's suspenseful. So I'm really excited about this. So I'm saying Bray Wyatt's return.
I can't argue, Steve. I was going to pick it at full inside baseball. I was taking it last. First things first, the return. That pop seemed ridiculous. And it's one of those on par with everything we've said. It came through the TV so well. And I'm on the camp of, I hope it's just him. I want to see Bray Wyatt feud with himself for a year. How about that?
Wow, that would be interesting.
Put Bo Dallas under the Uncle Howdy mask eventually because they're kind of the same build. It's his brother. You get him a payday. I want to see him feud with a screen for a year or at least a couple months. But no, I don't want it to be anything else. I want him to literally this be manifestations of his self-conscious, of him dealing with depression, with anger. I would, and if anybody could pull it off, by the way, it's Wyndham Rotundum. He's brilliant. And I want to see it. Like, I don't want it to be a stable. I think that's past here. And plus, why do we need another stable with the Judgment Day and the Bloodline? This is not AEW. Let's not do that. Let's do something different. And that's where I would say it's just Bray doing Bray stuff for a year. The Brayverse. I'm into it.
That's a really good pick. I was at Extreme Rules for work, and what was amazing was, so I'm watching, like, I'm on the floor, so I'm looking at the screen, but I'm also like looking at the back. So what I love was the courtesy graphic coming up. And my thought process was, we really about to do, and then as soon as I said that, the lights go out. And it was like, he's got the whole world. And then the crowd went crazy. And it's Philly. It's a raucous crowd. And it was definitely a phenomenal return. I was like, I'm glad that he didn't come out and say anything. I thought everything they did was perfect, and then just left us hanging for SmackDown.
Story, bro. Story.
Mm-hmm.
They build a great story with this one. Again, I agree, Mikey, saying that you want him to see him fight the screen for like a couple months. I'm with that, bro. Like, I'm with that. It just be him, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
I gotta disagree, Steve. I'm not saying it's not a bad return. It's just not even the best Wyatt return. My call, if you were to go Wyatt, not taking this as my pick, although I can't.
I was gonna say, you got the next pick, bro.
Then you know what? I'll take it, although I don't have the background on it. I haven't done my research. I apologize. Even though you saw the vignettes, his debut as the Fiend was a spectacle. If you want to talk about a return as far as him being in the arena, re-debuting, I would put the Fiend return ahead of the one we got this past month.
Really?
I mean, you're talking about one of the most spectacular entrances of all time, and you're seeing it for the first time. Not to mention, despite the vignettes and everything leading up to it, I don't know if anybody really realized what the Fiend was. So there was a lot involved there. We knew we were getting his return. On top of it, you're getting a new character. You're being told a new story. You're getting questions answered. I'll take it for my 4th round pick then. I'll say the debut or return of Bray Wyatt as the Fiend.
It was SummerSlam against Finn Balor. I'm fairly certain Finn ate the first. Finn came out in all white, looked fantastic in that jacket. And listen, you want to talk about just staring at a screen going, what the hell did I just watch? It was beautifully done. The guy's kind of talented, as I think we've established. I don't hate the pick at all. I really don't hate the pick.
I'm not gonna argue with you.
Mm-hmm.
You're not gonna crap on my pick though, bro.
I always got to crap on somebody's pick, and TJ's not here, so you bid it.
Oh my god, man! Next time, we gotta get TJ on here. Then everything gonna go super left.
Gladly host the next one. Yeah, we get Mr. Waters on so he can just go one-on-one with TJ for 2 hours.
Oh my god, that'd be awesome. That'll
be the internet will explode.
All right, Brian. This is your last pick in round 4, going into round 5, sir. You got a double pick. You got a hefty load right here, sir. Where are we going?
Sasha Banks, 2019. When she became my favorite version, as my homeboy called it, his blue hair angel.
There you go.
See her come out there, especially how, like, out of all times, Natty had just lost her dad. And, everybody was, celebrating her and whatnot. And for her to come in and beat her up and then take off the wig, especially, Sasha was in the back crying and all those, all the stuff that went down. She took a break. So, yeah, that's definitely a huge one that I really enjoyed.
At this point, at that point in 2019, I don't think she could do no wrong. I think that point, that's when she literally started levitating.
Yeah.
Well, I still don't think she's done anything wrong, Steve. I think that's partially why she's not currently on television, because how many home runs do you have to hit? It's kind of like the Aaron Judge thing with the Yankees. It's like, give this guy his money already. Give her props. She should be.
Give her flowers, bro.
Give her flowers. I mean, I get it, Bianca. I get the Bianca. She's, John Cena again. Like, they're really doing Cena stuff with her. But as I've also said on this podcast, I'm not saying Bianca's bad. I'm just saying I prefer Sasha Banks. I think Sasha Banks should be the star. I think she is, to me, and maybe it's the wrestling nerd in me. She's a professional wrestler through and through.
So
she's
Bianca
a workhorse.
isn't?
I think Bianca's a sports entertainer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying she can't wrestle. I'm saying that she is. Well, and by the way, she's getting better. We're watching her ascend, right? Like she's getting better every week. She's getting better. To me, when Sasha came up from NXT, she was already just
ready.
Well, they plugged her in immediately.
Yeah,
it
so
looks like she's been doing it for years.
You saying right now, Bianca is like the homemade mac and cheese. Like we putting some TLC in there. It's taking a little bit of time to get her to where she needs to get to. Sasha Banks was the TV dinner. Just throw that in. We ready to go.
Well, I think she was a little better than a TV dinner.
You know what I mean.
She's like the Benihana dinner, or you go to. No, to me, it's not a knock against Bianca. I just love Sasha Banks. That's my favorite women's wrestler. I think she's the best. That's my opinion. Maybe that's controversial.
Nah,
I'm not. I think and I think that it's a great pick because it started the best run of her career. I thought she did the best work of her career inside the ring, outside or in the promos. Her and Bayley was magic, but her main roster run, that was her best run in my eyes.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, Brian. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, so my last pick, I'm going 2010, one of my favorite of all time, the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. Bret the Hitman Hart. Talk about something we never think we would see. Bret Hart back in WWE. What a moment.
Since the Montreal screw job.
Mm-hmm.
Who thought he was going to be back to say, to be back in WWE in any way, shape, or form after what he endured with WWE when he left?
Especially if you read his book.
First off, again, if you haven't read the book, as we say on this podcast all the time, Google. It's deep. It's pretty deep. It's pretty deep.
I've read that book 4 times. I'm a gigantic Bret Hart guy. I have a picture with him. I met him when I was an independent professional wrestler. He took a lot of time with me. We spoke a lot. Nice. I have nothing but great story. I will gladly share. I love that return for a couple of reasons. One, the most underrated part of that return was the Shawn faked the super kick and went into the hug. Only Shawn Michaels could do that. It was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I just loved it because it completed your story. Like anybody who's been a fan for a long time, and at that point you're talking about 20 plus years if you followed Bret Hart's run, it just completed a story. It didn't necessarily have the huge pop involved with some of our other picks, but in terms of you as a wrestling fan, probably what you feel about wrestling, why you enjoy wrestling, that moment completed it. So I completely agree. I was wondering if somebody was going to take that too. That was a great pick.
Full circle.
Thank you.
All right, Ring General. This is your last pick, sir. Where are we going? Closing out round 5 for you.
A good one. WrestleMania 7.
Oh, wow.
Who made their return at WrestleMania 7? One of the most iconic of all time will forever be WrestleMania 7, Miss Elizabeth on top of Macho Man's shoulders, the hug. I'm going the return of Miss Elizabeth.
You, sir, alluded to this in a previous pod, and I should have saw this coming, closing out this pod from you.
That's not the expected pick. A lot like Brian's last pick. It's not the huge pop, but again, it's the story involved. Like
Mhm.
they show her the whole match, stands, looks of being worried. The stuff happens with Sherry and Macho. Comes in to save the day. We get face Macho back, if even for one moment. I just love that return. I think that's very fitting of this draft. Like I said, it tells a great story. I'm going Miss Elizabeth, WrestleMania 7.
First off, I'm not gonna argue with you on that one because it's a great left field pick. I love it. If you've seen it recently, because I remember seeing this about a couple weeks ago. They pan the camera to the crowd and then they show her, and then they say something like, "Oh, look at her face. She looks like she's crying." And then they pan away, and in the moment they pan away, like she's en route already to the ring. So I don't know how she got through everybody she got through to get to where she needed to get to, but it was a great return. It was a great response back, getting into the ring. Again, the embrace afterwards. Again, it was like you said, man, it was just good storytelling, just overall great storytelling. It's a good left field pick on that one.
Elizabeth, would you marry me? Botch, man. God, man.
Yeah.
We were robbed of the Macho Sans, man. The Macho Sans would have been something.
Listen, bro, I wish that we had a new version of Macho Man. He's taken from us way too soon, man.
He's one of one, Steve.
One of one? One of
one. We'll never get another one.
That's
never
insane.
get another one.
I would hope to God that's not true, bro, because we need somebody. We need somebody to embrace the Macho Man one more time. At least for me. I'm gonna go with a personal, since it's my turn and it's my last pick. I'm gonna go with something personal.
Mm-hmm.
I am a very big, huge, although we just talked about sports entertainment, Chris Jericho fan. And the Save Us promo back in 2007 was absolutely amazing. Don't get me wrong, was not as big as his first initial pop that he had when he first came in, but this Save Us promo from the Legend Killer at the time, who was destroying everybody, which there's another return I would like to make sure we throw on honorable mentions afterwards. But I'm gonna go Chris Jericho 2007, his WWE return with the Save Us promo from Randy Orton.
It's my second favorite Jericho return. It's fantastic. It is the best done Jericho promo. We all wanted him back. Who did want Chris Jericho back?
That's the best one. You think that's the best one?
I think it's the second best Jericho return. Because I like the pop, and to me, the pop of him coming back at the Rumble was just a little bit, but I think that's just because everybody knew it was Jericho. Stuff was Jericho, and it was like, again, I don't need a surprise every time. I want Chris Jericho back. Could I just please have Chris Jericho back? And I stop me if I'm wrong here. Like I always wanted. I'm such a huge fan. I never wanted him to leave, but he left, and he came back to us. And if you would have told me then he'd still be a top 10 guy in the industry at his age, I would have laughed at you.
Never.
But he's still really good now, man.
Man, it's the Ayatollah of rock and roll.
What was your number one then? If that's not your number one,
that's one of my favorites. But my number one is Triple H at the Garden, bro.
No. I'm talking about Mikey. Mikey said that's his second favorite Jericho return. Mikey? What's your first?
I think it's when he came into the Rumble with Ziggler. Ziggler came out at number one, and he Jericho, came out and right when he went to do Dancing with the Stars, and like we didn't think or not Dancing with the Stars. He went away because he went away 100 times, but he came back, and it was a surprise. It was number 2 in the Rumble, and the freaking pop was insane. And Ziggler still had the Money in the Bank brief briefcase at the time. It was when they did the Fandango run.
Mm-hmm. I think he did. He was with Fozzy at that time, I believe. I think he was on tour at that time.
But by the way, it's Fandango.
Put some respect on his name.
Put some respect on Dirty Dango. No, but here, Jericho's had like 7. We could do a draft of Jericho returns, I think.
That's almost up there. We'd only have to go 3 rounds, bro.
No. It could be a 1-1.
All right, Mikey. This is the last pick in our best wrestler returns draft, sir. Close us out. Round 5. Suits with the last pick. Where we at?
This is a tough one, Steven. But I'm going to go. Everybody's kind of done a personal one, so I'm going to do a personal one. Anybody remember Hardcore Hack? Yeah, that wasn't good. But you know what was good? When Hardcore Hack went away, ECW released the Sandman, and he came back to the ECW arena, and the entire place sang Enter Sandman. The pop on that, I implore you, if you've never seen this before, to go back and watch it. Was it the fact that everybody was drunk and wanted to sing Metallica? Maybe.
Possibly.
But that was half the gimmick anyway, right? I'm picking the Sandman coming back and laying waste to the Impact players with his Singapore cane, drinking beers, firing darts. You see Tommy Dreamer when he offers him the beer in the ring, and he looks like he just handed him $1 million. It's like 9 minutes of greatness. And I was a huge ECW fan, and I'm gonna throw it out at the end. Josh is smiling.
As ugly as those waning days of ECW were, again, that Raven one, that Sandman return, they had such good gems there at the end. They had so many little things you could pick out and be like, that was amazing. Completely agree. I remember watching it. I remember didn't they like start the song over because he just kept going and
because
going
he stayed in the stands for almost the whole song until he got almost to the end of the stands. Then we restarted the song.
Dreamer's laying in the ring.
And again, just like the point I made with the Raven one, it's that idea that he went to WCW. You didn't get what you wanted in WCW, so you were just clamoring for what you had, and then you get it back. And that's what played into a lot of the emotion of the fans that night.
All right, guys, that will do it for our best wrestler return draft. I think this one was a fun one. I'm not gonna lie though. Kind of think I won. We'll go back to the tape. We'll review the tape, and we will score this particular draft and see who came out on top of this particular draft. We will put some all of our drafts out on online for you guys to vote as well, and we'll see who did the best in this draft. Who's going to be our number 1 contender for our next draft, which is best looking wrestling titles.
Mm-hmm.
That is across all brands, guys, all promotions. So everybody's up for grabs right now because there's some nice looking belts out there. Hell, we might even get the Wrestling Realm belt put in there also in the mix, bro.
You might want to call on the real Dwayne Allen for that one. Or Brother Brandon.
Yes, sir. All right. That'll do it for us here at the Casual Wrestler Podcast. Again, please like and subscribe. And if you want to hear more from us, until then, we'll catch you in the next one.